My coworker decided to eat an entire rotisserie chicken at his desk during a client call. Nobody told him his camera was on. The client watched him devour it bone by bone while trying to discuss quarterly projections. He finished, wiped his hands on his work shirt, and wondered why nobody responded to his PowerPoint questions. The worst part, he sent the recording to everyone and nobody had the guts to tell him. We all just pretended it never happened. Our office manager once locked herself in the bathroom for 3 hours because she was convinced a pigeon got inside the building. There was no pigeon. Security found her sitting on the toilet scrolling through her phone. She came out acting like it was totally normal and everyone else was overreacting. Next week she did it again, but this time for a moth. We learned to just let her handle her fears alone. This guy in accounting printed out his entire Gmail inbox one time, like 50,000 emails on paper. His reasoning: he didn't trust the cloud. His desk looked like a paper explosion. When asked why, he said he could feel them getting hacked through the air. The recycling bin couldn't even handle it when he finally decided to throw them out. It literally had to help him. I watched someone spend 40 minutes trying to call their own extension from their desk phone because they forgot their laptop password and thought that was the fix. They were literally calling themselves from the next desk over. By desk 40 minutes in, they realized what they were doing and just laughed it off. The funny part is they kept the conversation going for like 5 minutes before realizing they were talking to themselves. Dedication to the bit, honestly. During a board meeting, my colleague started live tweeting the CEO's speech without realizing she had tweeted at the CEO directly. Her comments were things like, "This man has no idea what he's talking about." The CEO scrolled through his phone during the meeting, saw the tweets, and just stared at her across the table. Awkward doesn't even cover it. She got called into his office afterwards, and we never found out what happened, but she definitely deleted her Twitter account. One dude wore the same unwashed hoodie for an entire month straight, like every single day. The smell was becoming a health hazard. When someone finally told him, he said he was testing how long he could go. His explanation made it worse somehow, not better. That moment when your coworker applies for your job posting because she forgot she already works there. She saw the opening in her email, got excited, filled out the entire application and submitted it. HR called her confused as hell. She had literally been sitting 3 desks away the whole time. I once overheard someone telling the intern that you had to reboot your monitor every morning to keep it running properly. The intern believed him for weeks and did it religiously. He was just messing with the guy. But the sad part is nobody corrected it because we were all too entertained. My team member decided meetings were too boring, so he started rating them out of 10 like movie reviews. During a serious financial review, he raised his hand and said, "I'm gonna give this one a 3 out of 10, bad packing, weak dialogue." The CFO was not amused, but somehow it became our inside joke. This person organized their entire desktop into folders named after their emotions: angry files, sad files, confused files. We discovered this when they needed to find a document and couldn't remember which emotion folder it went into. It was oddly relatable but also completely insane. Someone literally brought a full mini fridge to their desk because they didn't want to share the office fridge with anyone. Just rolled it in one day, plugged it in, and nobody questioned it. By month 2, there were 5 mini fridges. It looked like a dorm room back there. I found out a coworker was using the office supplies budget to buy decorative string lights for her cubicle. Not work lights, actual party lights. When confronted, she said it was for energy. She had strung them up in a complete spiral around her desk. Somehow she kept her job. There's this guy who responds to every email with extremely long paragraphs when a yes or no would suffice. His shortest email was still 4 paragraphs long. Someone once asked him if he was attending a meeting, and his response was basically a novel. We started betting on email length. My coworker fell asleep standing up at his desk during a presentation, just standing there, eyes closed, swaying slightly. Nobody said anything for like 2 minutes because we couldn't believe it was actually happening. He woke up and pretended nothing happened and sat back down. One person decided that meetings were their stage performance time. She'd stand up, use wild hand gestures, change her voice for different points, and treat it like a TED Talk. It was a regular team stand-up about project updates. Her energy was absolutely unhinged, but somehow she made it entertaining. This dude printed his LinkedIn profile and kept it laminated on his desk like a trophy. He'd show it to people during conversations. His summary was like one sentence. We never had the heart to tell him it wasn't that impressive, but also nobody asked to see it either. My colleague once spent an entire afternoon troubleshooting why his printer wasn't working. Hours of it. Turned out it wasn't plugged in. He kept saying the cable must be broken and ordered a new one before checking if it was actually connected. The new printer arrived and he felt genuinely stupid. Someone in marketing accidentally sent a very angry draft email to the entire company. It was directed at someone specific and had some pretty harsh language about their intelligence. They tried to unsend it, but it was too late. The person it was about just replied, all saying they appreciated the feedback. This guy makes his own coffee at home and brings it in a huge thermos every day. Fair enough. But then he microwaves it for exactly 3 minutes and 17 seconds. If it's more or less, he throws it out and makes a new cup. We asked once and he had some whole philosophy about it. My coworker labeled everything on her desk with a label maker. Pen holder, desk lamp, monitor, keyboard, mug, everything. Even labeled a label maker. We asked why and she said organization is key. Her desk looked like a museum exhibit of obvious items. There's this person who only communicates through voice notes, like actual voice memos sent through Slack. 2-sentence texts become 30-second audio files. We'd be sitting right next to each other, and she'd send a voice note instead of just talking. It was weird, but we respected the commitment. One dude decided he was too good for a regular desk setup, so he brought in a standing desk, a treadmill desk, and a balance ball chair. He rotated between them throughout the day. The noise of the treadmill during quiet focus time drove everyone insane. He never noticed. My colleague once fact-checked the CEO's dad joke during a company event. Just stood up and said, actually, that's not how that works. Here are the facts. The room went silent. She was technically right, but completely missed the entire point of telling a joke. Awkwardness levels were through the roof. Someone created a spreadsheet tracking when people arrived, left, went to lunch, and visited the bathroom. They weren't in HR or management, just decided to do it. When discovered, they said they were doing research on office efficiency. They got talked to and finally stopped, but the spreadsheet lived in infamy. This person would eat incredibly smelly food at their desk during video calls without mooting. Thai takeout, fish, Indian food, you name it. The sounds were loud, the smell traveled through the entire office area, and they'd never acknowledge it. People started blocking time on his calendar just to avoid it. My coworker corrected the grammar in company-wide announcements by replying all with the corrections. Not constructively, just actually criticizing the writing of the communications team. She did this repeatedly until someone finally asked her to use email instead of reply all threads. There was a person who treated the office kitchen like their personal space, would get mad if you used their shelf, made passive-aggressive notes about your coffee creamer, Set up an actual password-protected mini fridge section that only she could access. It was insane for a shared kitchen. Someone decided that work from home meant they could do anything. We're talking working from their bed, in their car, at their friend's house. Their background in video calls was just constantly different random locations. One time they forgot they were working and the camera caught them at what looked like a totally random place. They never explained it. My colleague would interrupt conversations to share random facts that had nothing to do with the discussion. You're talking about the project deadline, and he jumps in with facts about penguin mating habits or how many grains of sand are on Earth. He thought he was being interesting. He was just being distracting. This person in it had a rule that you couldn't contact him about problems unless you filled out a specific form. During an actual emergency with systems down, people were still trying to reach him through the form. He wouldn't respond to any other method. Priorities were clearly mixed up. The company literally lost money waiting for him to check his forms. He still had the job somehow. Basically, our team got a new hire who decided he was going to optimize everything on day one. Created new processes, reorganized files nobody asked him to touch, and sent everyone a 20-slide presentation about efficiency. By day 3, he had already made 3 major mistakes, and everyone was undoing his changes. Management just let him figure it out naturally, which was painful to watch. Every single morning, this coworker would spend 20 minutes complaining about how tired she was, like detailed descriptions of her night, her dreams, her cat's sleeping position. Nobody cared, but she told everyone anyway. Then she'd drink 5 energy drinks and be bouncing off walls by 10. The energy shift was whiplash. We started timing how long the complaining phase lasted each day. One dude in our office decided he was a productivity guru and started a spreadsheet tracking everyone's work hours and output. He wasn't a manager. He just thought it was helpful. When people found out, they were rightfully annoyed. He said he was doing it for the betterment of the team. Nobody asked him to do this. It was genuinely creepy how detailed it was. Someone brought a meditation bell to the office and started ringing it randomly throughout the day. Not at set times, just whenever they felt the vibe needed shifting. First time it happened during a client call was chaotic. They refused to stop because they said the office energy needed it. People started wearing headphones all day. The bell became legendary for all the wrong reasons. Literally had a coworker who would rewrite everyone's emails before sending them. Not because she was asked, she just saw them in the shared drafts and changed them. Her rewrites were always way too casual and sometimes completely changed the meaning. When people called her out, she said she was helping with tone. She wasn't. She was making us all sound like bros texting at a bar instead of professionals. HR finally told her to stop. This guy kept a stuffed animal at his desk and would have full conversations with it about his work problems. Like he'd sit there explaining projects to a teddy bear like it was a consultant. We asked if he was okay and he said yes, the bear was his emotional support. He brought the bear to meetings sometimes. It was weird, but he seemed happy, so we just let it happen. Eventually, other people brought stuffed animals too. Our office looked like a daycare.